Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 5 of the anime series Shokugeki no Soma, ni no Sara, or the Second Plate. And I have to admit, going into this episode, when the first warning bells started ringing in my head, that we probably weren't going to get right into the matchup between Soma and Subaru, the Shokugeki that could potentially see Soma walking away from being a chef for the rest of his life and ever cooking food in a diner again. I was just a mite disappointed, but as the episode unfolded, it became interesting enough to me that I really didn't mind it, and the pacing and everything like that, sort of holding off the full-on aspects of the match. We get a little bit of what's going into Soma's dish, and of course Subaru, toward the end of the episode. But we didn't really need all of that necessarily, and I like that it's going to carry over into another episode. It kind of makes it feel like, even though this season is only going to be 13 episodes long, that there's more going on and more time is being taken by not getting right to every single battle, fleshing out the in-between moments, and having Soma being approached by this journalist, Mitsuru, had me wondering if this was like a spy in Subaru's employ, trying to get all the information. I think even, Soma was questioning that for a little bit there. But I almost had to wonder if the reason Soma was so accepting of Mitsuru after a while and having him taste as an objective taster all of his beef stew, sort of experiments and everything like that. I almost have to wonder if he was doing that on purpose, thinking, well, just in case Mitsuru is in the employ of Subaru, trying to spy and figure out what Soma's been getting up to with his experimental beef stew dishes, maybe he was trying to lead Subaru into a certain line of thinking, or trying to lead him astray from, like Soma would pull something out of his hat once the Shokugeki was actually going on. That was something he hadn't planned on trying, and I thought this was even more enhanced by, of course, the meat maestro herself, Mito, coming and bringing a bag of various high-quality meats, one of which actually inspires Soma to completely redesign his approach. And it's interesting, of course, after his having, this interaction with Arina, who, because she is the god tongue, both Soma and Mitsuru thought it would be a good idea to go to her and try to get her to taste the dish and maybe sort of lead them in a different direction. This, of course, all before Mito had come with her bag of meats and everything like that. And it's interesting getting a little more insight into Arina, that she is such a manga fan, and like she'd actually be willing to entertain, tasting Soma's dishes, or at least one dish, just because she wants the rest of the volumes in this one particular line of manga that she's so, entranced by. And usually Hisako or whatever would be there for her in that regard, but she feels like she let Arina down and she's not worthy of even being there. So she's left, and all this kind of drama. And so I thought, Soma was effectively putting Mitsuru through the motions, trying to bounce off him the ideas of these different approaches for the beef stew, while also potentially utilizing, Mitsuru's being there just in case he was a spy, to lead Subaru down a certain path that he wouldn't necessarily take once they got into the Shokugeki proper. And so it's very interesting that Soma has kind of pulled out of his hat by the end, that he's going to be utilizing this oxtail. And it seems like as soon as he debuts this meat, like everyone watching is talking about, well, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. They can well predict the steps he's going to take with the various ingredients and what complementary ingredients there will be to add to this entire affair to make it taste the absolute best, kind of a mesh between the, diner produced dishes, where, I think Arina says, oh, it's supposed to taste good by the third bite. This way the, returning clientele, their palates will not become tired of the same old sort of thing. It grows on you after so many bites, whereas in a gourmet restaurant, as we hear from Dojima, it was welcome to see him returning, as well as some of the other familiar judges who will be on this judges panel for this particular Shokugeki. They're talking about, well, when it comes to a gourmet dish, you want it to taste extravagant and bewildering on the first bite. So, of course, Soma has all of this to contend with. And as I note, once Subaru makes his, his ingredients known to the audience, even in spite of all of the steps Soma has taken, even in spite of, casting out Mitsuru at one point, and not really, letting it be known that Mito has come with this bag of meats, yet, even after all of that, Subaru knows exactly, apparently, what Soma is going to come up with. And the episode basically ends in this cliffhanger of this meeting of the minds where it's like, Soma encapsulated it in his own words throughout the course of this episode, saying, it's almost as if I'm chasing myself. And we get into the mind's eye of Subaru for a while there. You think it's like Soma flashing back to his, restaurant days, his diner days, creating this beef stew the very first time, and how his friends and everything were just, absolutely over the moon about it. And in actuality, it's Subaru putting himself into the guise of Soma, getting into his mind, breaking down what he would be thinking. It's a wonder how the hell Subaru gets his information, like at least with the scenario with Mito coming with the bag of meats. I mean, Mitsuru was there. So again, it still leads me to wonder if Mitsuru has any sort of alignment to Subaru in giving him information about, what was given to Soma in the bag of meats, what might have, Subaru could probably whittle down and figure out what Soma's likeliest, inspiration might be after going through the various meats that were revealed to both he and Mitsuru could have passed this information on. I really don't know. Maybe I'm too suspicious of this kid. He seems too innocent and too good to be true in a certain manner of speaking. So he kind of stands out as a potential red herring or a potential threat. I don't know. But as I say, by the end, they fleshed out so much of the production of this and, gave us some gleaning insights into Mito and Narina and everything like that. Megumi making, Soma some tea to try to get him to relax and all this kind of stuff. Mito finding Soma apparently asleep in a sink full of water and trying to wake his ass up because he's completely knocked himself out. And even though Soma walks in and assures Mitsuru he has no idea of a way to beat Subaru, in this particular matchup, even though he has sent an assuring, very confident word to the Aldinis to come watch the match, he says he really has nothing. He doesn't believe he has anything that is going to necessarily beat Subaru. I don't believe that for a minute. I believe Soma is going to wipe the floor with this guy, but I don't want to sell the farm on it even yet, I don't know. I'm not a manga reader. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm really just on the edge of my seat to find out. All over a sort of, interesting concoction or incarnation, in any case, of all things, beef stew. And so I can't wait for the next episode. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this episode of Shokugeki no Souma ni no Sara, or the second plate, if you've also seen it, especially if you're not familiar with what's going on. But even if you are, please post no spoilers. But did this live up to expectations, and are you ultimately excited, whether you know what's coming or not, for the next step in this ultimate Shokugeki showdown? Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.